Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Zone to Speak podcast. I'm your host, Juliana. Before the episode, I have got to share one of my absolute favorite ride essentials, the Psych Plus Smart Pump. This little thing goes everywhere with me. It's compact, powerful, and honestly a game changer on the bike. I love using it mid-ride when switching between terrains. I can drop the pressure for gravel and then pump it back up when I hit the road. Super easy, super fast. And of course, it's a total lifesaver in case of a flat or any loss of air. No stress, no hand pumping. Just press the button and go. You can grab yours with 10% off using my code ZONE2SPEAK. Link and details are in the episode notes. Trust me, once you try it, you won't leave for a ride without it. Psych Plus Smart Pump. Smart, simple, and ready for any adventure. Now, let's hear it for the episode. Today's guest is someone who radiates possibility. Mérida Miller is the founder and CEO of Project Fearless, an Amsterdam-born initiative creating brave space for girls and gender-expansive youth to build confidence through action. From skateboarding to leadership labs to science courses that spark world-changing curiosity. She's also a TEDx speaker, the self-proclaimed professional hype girl, and unstoppable advocate for getting more women and non-binary into adventure, leadership, and sport. On the bike, you'll find her riding gravel with No Ordinary Women, CC, wearing a smile big enough to power a small city, and reminding all of us that confidence isn't something you have, it's something you practice. Let's dive in. Mérida, welcome to Zone to Speak.
Thank you. Thank you for such an intro. That was amazing.
I hope I got it all in because you do a lot.
I appreciate it. Yes. No, I do. And it sounds more impressive when you say it. So I appreciate it.
Well, welcome, but it's all you. In your TEDx talk, you said that, and I quote, confidence has a branding problem. You describe how confidence is often portrayed as loud, extrovert, and perfect, when in reality it's often very quiet. It's such an empowering reframing, especially for anyone who's been told they are not confident enough. How did this insight first show up for you, and what would you want listeners to understand about what confidence really looks like?
Yeah. So as you mentioned, I run a nonprofit called Project Fearless, and we create after-school programs, and I work with the ages 9 through 14. And I think it definitely, this idea of what is confidence, came about a lot when I was actually talking to the parents of the programs. So we'd have parents who would come to us and, oh, she's not confident. All she does is sit in the corner and read, or, oh, not confident. She doesn't have a lot of friends. And then I would talk to the coaches or observe the kid myself and be like, actually, she's quite confident in who she is, but she just doesn't look like the form that we've sort of been taught is what confidence looks like.
Yeah.
And as you said, like we've been taught that confidence is very visible. It's loud. It's the people who take the stage, who raise their hand more and more. But in my eyes, confidence is just that self-assuredness, or that feeling of like, yeah, I'm okay just as I am. And I think definitely in a world where we're constantly being told who you should be, what you need to look like, what you need to listen to or sound like, being comfortable in your own skin or being comfortable just as you are, even if that's a bit different, is actually the most confident thing you can be. There's also a really beautiful book. It's called Quiet, The Power of Introverts in a World That Can't Shut Up or Can't Stop Talking by Susan Cain. And I read this book in the early days of Project Fearless, so probably around 2020 or 2021. And it's about introverts, and it's about the different types of introverts and different types of extroverts, and how really society has made us believe that shy also kind of could equate to being stupid. And how if you don't speak up, it means that you have nothing to say, but actually there's just different personality types. And there's many more introverted or shy people who actually are very smart, and they're actually observing from the other side, thinking like, yeah, I don't feel the need to share this right now, or maybe they need to be invited in to share. So I did a whole deep dive on what that looks like and how to create more uh, inclusive spaces for introverts and extroverts in our coaching at Project Fearless as well. And that really helped also find, yes, again, see more confident voices coming up when they were invited to speak, as opposed to maybe an extrovert feels like they need to just blurt it out. Yeah, so that was a really interesting journey for me as well. That book was really beautiful.
Yeah, it sounds like a very interesting book. And I really relate with everything you said. It really touched me because I am an introvert. And a lot of times I don't want to speak up in big groups, big crowds, and it doesn't mean that I'm not confident. But growing up, that's how I felt like, oh, she's so shy. She's not a leader,
Yeah.
and then having to force yourself to not be who you are and to ask questions and to speak up in front of everybody and things like that, because that's what people think it's a leader or someone confident, and it's
Totally.
not.
Yeah. And there's so many different types of leadership styles. And I do think now more and more, especially with more women leaders, and that we're all creating a new type of leadership, or a new, like, yeah, leadership framework that which leadership can fall under. Because yeah, you can lead very quietly. You can lead from
Yeah,
behind, you can lead from the middle, you can lead from in front. And we also coach this in our programs to create spaces for that. And also to help with the extroverts, to say like, hey, extroverts, that's great that you feel so comfy speaking up, but like, how do we ensure that all the voices are being heard right now? So how are we ensuring that somebody who doesn't speak up naturally is at least invited to speak up or share? And maybe that's creating a space where we all write answers on a post-it note, as opposed to having to raise our hand and stand up and speak in a crowd. So yeah, it's been a really, learning about this has also helped me reframe how I lead and how I create work with teams and work with other people as well.
yeah, incredible, incredible. Hopefully this movement, the quiet movement, keeps growing, or confidence rebranding
Yeah, that's
grows.
it.
Yeah, yeah. um, Also, building Project Fearless from scratch. This started as an idea, and it turned into a movement that has touched many young people. And you didn't just build a program, you built a culture where
Yeah.
courage is
Yeah.
practiced, failure is welcome, and joy leads the way.
Yeah.
What was the moment that pushed you from someone should do this to I'm going to build it myself? And what surprised you most about the journey from idea to reality?
Yeah. It's funny because when I look back, I don't think there was any one moment in my life, but all a bunch of little moments that led me to creating it. I definitely know that when I had moved from the U.S. to the Netherlands, and I was at the time working as a concept designer for Under Armour, and I yeah, had started to become unhappy in my role. I'd done it for 7.5 years, and really was missing that impact side of things. Like, I love creating it. I love supporting people. I love cheering people on. I love seeing how I'm helping them. And a lot of times designing from behind a computer didn't feel very impactful. Um, and I also recognized that when I moved here, I think, like, as a European, or as an American, at the time, I looked to everywhere else as being, especially Europe. You look at Europe as like, oh, it must be so advanced when it comes to gender equity, and you have
Yeah,
this like hopeful dream. And then I remember, like, I got to the Under Armour office, and I remember the like first week, the HR manager said something wildly inappropriate. I was like, whoa. And then, that same week you walked by a whole boardroom of people, and you're like, oh, it's all men. You're like, okay, but like, what's going on in that room? And it's like, oh, they're deciding the women's collection for 2000 whatever. And you're like, okay. So
wow.
like,
Yeah,
so clearly it's still prevalent, and at the same time, I wanted to figure out a way that I could feel the best me, to be honest. Like, and I know the best me is when I'm giving back. It's when I'm creating a space where I can cheer people on, where I can see that ripple effect impact. And I I wanted to create that space for others. So not just like the kids, but others to get involved, because certainly in the US, like, give back culture, I think, is a bit more. And so I noticed that here that like there wasn't a lot of times that I could go and really actively involve myself in something. And at the same time, there were studies that were coming out about how, between the ages of 12 and 14, girls' confidence drops by 30%. Their fear of failure increases by 150%. And, we know that adolescence, those young ages are the key moments for any young person's life, especially girls, when we're going through hormonal changes, and just, the way we're developing. And I thought, okay, it seems like there is there's some problems that need solving here. And actually my background is in research and development and design. So it's like, I love solving problems. And at Under Armour, I was doing it with clothing design for athletes, in human-centered design. And with Project Fearless, I felt like, okay, this is my way to help close that gender equity gap, is to create fearless leaders from a younger age, to create more fearless leaders. Like that whole idea, if I impact and empower one girl or kid in a great way, they are going to go impact more kids in a great way. So that was really the catalyst. But of course, now that I look back on my life, I see so many moments that helped get me to where I am now, or where I was. And then your question of like, what surprised me the most, I think. I am, as I said, I love research and development. Like I love failing. I love like testing things and putting things together. I wouldn't say I love failing. Maybe that's not it, but I love testing. But I know failing is part of it. And I run a lot on intuition, and I do feel I have a good intuition. So I was like, I feel like this is going to work. Like, I feel like it's not going to be rocket science. You just do a couple of these things. And, I looked at a lot of different nonprofits out in the world, and a lot of different people who were doing great, and thinking about, okay, how would I do things differently? Or not necessarily with girls, like just different ways that they were making impact. And, but I didn't know if it was going to work. I had this theory, I had this idea that like, if we create a safe space, and I know how to create a safe space, and I know how to make people feel comfortable and fun, and that they will feel fearless, and that will impact them. I didn't realize how fast it would happen. And I remember, especially in our first programs, there was always this like idea that week 3, we like brace the coaches. We're like, okay, week 3, brace for impact. Because the first week, all the kids are like a little nervous. They don't know anybody, Week 2, they're still kind of nervous, but they're feeling okay, a little more safe and comfortable. And then week 3 is when they're like, oh, we know who we are. We are feeling this energy, and they come in full force. And
Amazing.
You're kind of like, what have we created?
It must be so magical to see that evolution. Is this like a after school program? Is this a camp? Where is it?
Yeah. So it's after school program. So we run 8-week long courses. Yeah. And they're different types. So at any one time, we have up to 15 different courses happening around Amsterdam and Rotterdam. So let's say you're a 14-year-old girl, or 13-year-old girl, you would join us for skateboarding for once a week for 8 weeks. And during those 8 weeks, you're of course learning how to skateboard, but we're also we have a special methodology that we've written, that we write every season, that follows a certain theme about future leadership. So maybe it's a whole 8-week season on communication and collaboration. So you are skateboarding, but then we are also having conversations and activities around collaboration and why that's important, and how you can do it with different types of learners. So it's a real emotional and behavioral changing, as well as accompanying a skill.
It sounds like an amazing program.
Thank you.
I wish you had, I hope you branch out and become bigger, and it's more available more in other locations as well. It's something that, I would have loved to have, and I would love my daughter to have, but now she's 16 and we're not in Amsterdam or Rotterdam.
Yeah, wow. You never know. We have some big ideas and big plans, and we also have a junior coach program for teens. So
cool.
Yeah, because we noticed that some of the girls, after they aged out, were kind of like, okay, but now I want to come back. How can I come back? So the junior coaches are part of that, which is really, they're a key part of our community and a key part of what makes Project Fearless work.
Yeah. So You said something that confidence comes after action, not before. And it's the opposite of the narrative most of us are familiar with. Um, your program flipped that upside down. Like I'll use the example, skateboard first, breathe later. Can you explain how you see the relationship between courage, action, and confidence, and also how adults can build that muscle just
Yeah.
as actively as kids?
Yeah, because it is a muscle or it's just practice, it's that idea that like, okay, I fell down and I got back up. So what? Like nothing happened. What's, so what? Yeah. And it's part of that. It's that idea that like if you have a safe space that you can fail, you're more likely to go out and reach just a bit further out of your comfort zone. And we talk a lot about that because comfort zones and growth zones are so different for everybody. So just because my comfort zone is dropping down this massive ramp, it's not, but just pretend like if it was, and yours is just stepping on the skateboard for the first time, we're each growing just as much confidence every time we get out of that zone. So that's also like, comparison is the theft of joy. It's also the theft of growing, because if you're like, oh, but I'm not there, or I don't dare to do that. It's like, yeah, but we're starting at different places. If for me, maybe public speaking is scary. And so just getting on a podcast is a big step. Whereas maybe for you, actually speaking to 100 people is your baseline. And now you want to go to 200 people. We're each growing the same amount of confidence when we do that. So that's something that I think is really important, is that's also when we talk to parents about growing confidence, is like, oh, I want them to do skateboarding because that, it feels, it looks, it appears that big.
Radiates confidence.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And it's like, but actually, going in a science course when at Project Fearless, when actually you're failing at science in school, is actually just as much confidence building, because you're going to a place that you're like, actually, I'm failing, or I'm trying, and I'm not, I'm still here. People still like me. People still support me in that testing and trying. And I think certainly with adults, it's the same thing. So it's like, okay, finding where your comfort zone is, finding where your growth zone is, and just testing a little bit outside of those, and it doesn't have to be huge steps. You don't have to go what we call as our panic zone. So we do that with the kids, as we map what that is. Because the panic zone, if you're like, if you did not enjoy that experience, you're probably not going to do it again. So it's also like finding what is just that little step that you can do. And it's just as valid and adds just as much confidence to your confidence bank as it would be if you stepped really big. And that's, I think, something that we kind of miss. We think you have to go be, I don't know, a Red Bull athlete instead of just getting on a bike for a first time. And you're still going to grow that confidence and most likely continue if you have an enjoyable experience when you got out of your comfort zone, you're going to do it again, versus if it was too far, you got pushed too hard, you weren't allowed to take a break, or you weren't taught in a way that was encouraging to you, you're probably not going to try it again.
Yeah. No, it seems so simple when you're saying it, but it's something that sometimes when you are in that zone that you are imagining that panic feeling, it's hard to get out of it and just think, okay, no, I'm just going to do baby steps here. Maybe I'll practice this with my family, then with some coworkers, then I'll try my public speaking or speak more in meetings, or like you said, because I used to do triathlons, and a lot of people are like, wow, I really want to do it, but I never can. I'm like, and that's actually, now that you're saying, that's what I tell people. It's like, I actually started walking around the block.
Yeah.
It was just like around the block, 2 blocks, then 1K run. And it wasn't like, okay, I'm going to do a full Ironman. And then I did it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I mean, there are a couple people who can do that, right?
Yeah.
And but most of us can't. And I think also in the world that we're living in now, like only that big, from, couch to 5 marathons is celebrated, as opposed to like actually like a couch to just getting up and walking around your block, because maybe you're even scared what that will do, is a huge accomplishment. And so finding that accomplishment and having people around you who see you for that accomplishment is also really incredibly helpful. And I think also you don't have to go big. Like just take it as it is and take breaks. I think that's a huge one. We talk about that. And I especially think though for women, we're often, we've been taught, whether it's in the workplace, whatever, to just keep pushing, push till you get to the top. You got to grit and grind and get it out and keep going. And that's how you're going to build resilience. And actually studies show that's not how you build resilience. Like you build resilience by failing in a safe place. You build resilience by having a community who has your back, by taking those little steps, by always being able to tap back into that safe space when you do have to push a bit further. So just being mindful of like listening to your body for like, actually, I'm done. This is enough scare for me today. I'm going to step back and then go for it again. And just speaking up on that is like, we do that at Project Fields as well. It's like just checking in with the kids. Like you can read body cues. And if all of a sudden they're kind of shutting down and staring at the ramp for too long, it's like, yep, okay, physically remove this person from the ramp, have a chat, and then try again tomorrow, or, and I think that's also for adults is sometimes you just got to physically remove yourself and then try again from tomorrow. And it's very simple. It sounds simple. But yeah, trusting yourself that you can try again tomorrow is also a good one.
I'm very happy to hear that this is backed by research, because I always also believed in positive reinforcement and, small change. I practice that on my nutrition coaching, like I cannot give you everything that you need to do, take it home and do it. No, it's just like, we're going to unlearn one habit and learn one new habit at a time. Like every 1 or 2 weeks, we're going to build this up. It's not like, okay, here you go. This is a list and you have to work on it.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was starting to do gravel, coming from triathlon, where everything is smooth and flat. It was really tough. And my boyfriend at the time, I know he was trying to help, but he was like pushing me so hard. And I don't work like that. I need a little bit positive reinforcement, celebrate my little wins, and not like, I don't want to be dared. I'm not like, he told me I cannot do it. Now I'm going to go do it. No, that just backfires me. Some people work well on that. Reverse psychology, but not me. Not me. I want to hear like, oh my God, I'm proud of you. You did well. One step at a time. Yeah.
It's also really good to know that about yourself too, right? Like that's also to know that like, I'm actually not somebody who, when somebody's like, oh yeah, you can't do it, I dig deeper. It's actually no, like what helps is the positive reinforcement, and knowing that and then being able to speak up on that is also really important. I have the same thing with my partner where I get to a point where I know that he's just asking me to do something else, in gravel and trying something new because he believes in me and he knows I can.
Yeah.
And then at one point I'm like, okay, I'm done today. Like I'm done learning today. I am over it. And he's like, yeah, but you're doing so good. I was like, yep, but I know where I am now and I'm done. Like I'm checking out of my body and I'm done. But that also comes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It took me a while to learn that and to voice that, to be like, you know what, today I don't want to learn. Yeah. Today I want to enjoy.
Oh my God. Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
So important. It's so important. It's so
like
important.
The little breaks you said. See, it's so simple, but until you say it, you said it, you shared this, you don't know,
No, of course. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it is funny how that, easier said than done, but it's always in the back of your head to also just trust those little pieces.
Yeah. Yeah. And let's talk about your title, Professional Hype Girl. Is both hilarious but deeply accurate.
Thank you.
You are incredibly intentional about celebrating people loudly, honestly, and without competition. In cycling, especially women's gravel and adventure, that spirit changes everything. I'm just going to jump in here for a quick break from the conversation, because if you have been listening for a while, I only share brands that I actually use and love. One of these is Code Age. They make science-backed supplements that really support active lifestyles. I have been taking their creatine gummies for recovery and strength, and the women's multivitamin for energy and immune health, especially during big training weeks. They have got everything from hydration to collagen and endurance blends, all top quality. You can get 10% off with code ZONE2SPEAK at codeage.com, and you will be supporting the podcast while you are at it. All right, back to the episode. Why is hype such a powerful form of leadership, and how can we practice being better hype givers in our friendships, workplaces, and sports community?
Yeah, hype givers. Yeah. It's so funny. Like this title is just kind of like has attached to me somehow, and now I take it very seriously. And
I'm happy you do.
Yeah, I do, and I think it's important, and I think honestly, like, oh man, wow, why is hype important? I mean, everybody needs somebody to say that they believe in them. At the end of the day, we all need that. We all need somebody to say, like, hey, I see you for you. Freak what you feel. I love it. And I don't, for me, I really do. Like when I say that, I'm like, I really do love that this person is unapologetically them. And like, and I just love seeing people try something and support each other, and it becomes infectious. And we see it in, Project Fearless is team spirit, no matter what we're working on, is really important. And, I remember when I was starting Project Fearless, like there's a lot of studies that show that team sports are incredibly important for youth development, for leadership skills and things like this. But not everybody wants to be on a team sport. Not everybody likes running off into a football pitch. So that was incredibly important to us, is like, how do we create this team atmosphere no matter what they're doing, whether they're sewing, whether they're sciencing, or whether they're doing bouldering. How are we creating that team atmosphere? And I think that is also part of the hype crew ideology, is that like, I don't have to be your best friend, but I am going to support you because we're doing this together, and we're failing together, and we're trying new things together, and we're trusting that, that you're not judging me if I fall down. And that is also just part of creating a safe space, and safe space is where you can create resilience for people. So I take it very seriously. When I look back on my life, I definitely was, the leaders that I saw were hype leaders. There's Michael Zuckerman was, he led and still does an organization in the US, Wintergreen Adaptive Snow Sports, that creates, adaptive snow sports coaching and activities for people with disabilities, physical or learning disabilities. And I think that was where I first saw hype leadership in action. And it was this idea that, you know what, we're all on this world for a very short time. We might as well make it fun. We might as well go out and try, and we might as well do it together. And I was always so inspired by that, because some days on the mountain were so freaking cold, and you were coaching all day, and sometimes the chairlift didn't work, and you had to carry up somebody who was a wheelchair user, but in a snow sled up a mountain. Well, this is what we're doing, so we might as well have fun. And also, that idea that if we have fun and believe in each other, we're going to reach further. Like if I believe in you, I know you're going to go just a little bit harder. And how can we create that space for each other? And so we do that at Project Fearless. We celebrate each other's wins. We celebrate each other's failures. And it when you do that, you also, like I said, create that safe space for people to fail. And the truth is, like, failure is such a big word that actually means very little. Like in the sense, like in the grand scheme, I've like failed times, like I've been married, I've been engaged, like I've had times in my life where I have failed in what the traditional path was, but I took my own step. And so when we create a space, especially in our workplace, of, hey, I got you, no matter what, like, go try that thing, go talk to that person, go pitch that idea. And if it doesn't work, we still got each other. I think that's incredibly important. And that's also important when you come to leadership, to create a space where others feel safe enough to fail.
100%. I really, really love this. And I think we should have for adults, not just for the kids.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
we all can
absolutely.
still learn how to be each other's cheerleaders. And, there's so much more to gain
Hmm.
from seeing the good in others and cheering each other up instead of, fighting for your own space
Yeah.
and for the spotlight. Yeah, I think there is a big market for adults as well to learn how to be more confident and to also share the spotlight and just, cheer each other on.
Yeah, I think it is a shame. Like I know one of my colleagues when she first started at Project Fearless, like she really struggled with Project Fearless, the internal methodology, because she had only ever been in places where if you did something wrong, you were told you did something wrong. And you were, the rest of and everybody on the teams were out to get each other. And it was always like, that toxic work environment. And so when she came to Project Fearless, it was actually a really hard adjustment for her because she kind of always had this feeling that everything that went wrong was either her fault or was going to get blamed on her, or that her, people were setting her up to fail. And it was like, no, like this, I'm assuming you were doing your best. Like, and you've not shown me anything that showed me that you're not trying your best. So I'm assuming you're doing your best. If a mistake happens, we have mistakes. People are human. And, I just had this happen. We had a huge event in October, and a couple days before the event, we discovered a pretty big mistake by one of our colleagues.
Oh, no.
And it was like, yeah, but okay, she didn't
Yeah,
do it on purpose. I
of
know that
course
woman
not.
works her ass off and is like a perfectionist at heart. So like my job as a leader is to say, hey, I got this. You got it this far. We can do this. We're going to figure this out together. Because if I had just come down on her to say, oh, how could you have done this? This is such a big mistake. You're stressing me out. You're adding stress. It's not going to want to, she's not going to want to try again. She's going to think, fuck, they're right, and get
Yeah,
panicky and stressy. It's like, yeah, what can we do? We got to keep going. So
yeah,
like, we might as well keep going together.
yeah, yeah.
It's just
I
a lot
say that
easier.
at work a lot too. Like, stop trying to find blame. Let's work on
Yes.
solution. We
Yeah.
can do
Yeah.
postmortem later and see what, if there are
Yeah.
learnings, fix that. But like,
Yeah.
focus on solution. It's just a waste of time trying to find blame. And yeah,
Yeah. I agree. I agree. And it's a waste of it's a waste of time. It's a waste of energy. It's a waste of, it doesn't build trust. What trust is that, yeah, if I make a mistake, I know this person still has my back. And it's going to make me want to do my best because, yeah, I don't want to have to make that mistake for them. But if it happens, it's okay.
yeah. I used to work for a big financial company, and I love that they started to welcome failure. They
Mm-hmm.
had this whole internal campaign of like, if you're going to fail, just fail fast.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
the meaning
Yeah.
of, if you think it's going to fail, just fail fast, get out of the situation, the project, kill the project. It's okay, to have the idea. But
Yeah.
anyway, so I think it's good that some companies are starting to change to encourage,
Yeah.
not encourage failure, but to say that failure happens.
It's
It's
part of the
okay.
process. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Literally,
part
of
of the
course.
process.
Yeah. We all make mistakes. We're all humans. Machines make mistakes. And so, like, we also moving, I don't know, these days we're moving at such a fast clip, everybody, and we're having to take care of so many things besides ourselves, our families, our social life, etc. That like, yeah, just give each other a break.
And shifting gears a little bit, your involvement with No Ordinary Women CC and
Yeah.
the larger Gravel community seems to fuel you not just physically but emotionally.
Hmm.
You have talked about how empowering it is to ride with women and non binary people who show up unapologetic,
Yeah.
push themselves, and hold space for one another.
Yeah.
What does riding with a women and non-binary centered community unlocks for you that mixed groups don't?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good question. I want to firstly say that I realize that in Amsterdam, I've been super privileged and spoiled to have had this No Ordinary crew. Like I started road cycling 4.5 years ago. And um and when I first started, No Ordinary Women had just started. So they were like my like aspirational group. Like they were who I wanted to get to, or I wanted to be part of that group. And not in a cliquey way, but in like a, wow, those people are badass. Like I want to be there. And I realized like not everybody, especially I think maybe because I am relatively new to the cycling world, has felt that. Whereas a lot of women I know, always had to ride in mixed groups or always had to compete for space. And so for me, it felt very natural. Like this space has just been incredibly important to me in my growth of myself as a cyclist, as my friends, and I've had. It's actually, it's funny when I think about it now. It's like, it's kind of like I was talking about at Project Fearless, where it's like I would, when I joined now, it was like I always had that safe space to go back to. And so it gave me the resilience and confidence to then ride in mixed groups or then ride in other places, because I always knew like, yeah, I have the badass crew of women and folks who I know are strong riders. And if I can hang with them, I can hang with anybody. And so that also really gave me a lot of confidence, and it gave me a lot of support. It's given me like personally a ton of friendships. Like some of my best friends in Amsterdam are because of No Ordinary Women. I've also learned a lot, like as part of the leadership team with No Ordinary Women. We've also created a lot of events and spaces, and it's also been a place to test and try things. I did my first gravel clinic. I taught my first gravel clinic this summer through Now. And that was an incredible experience, which is launching me into next year. But having that shared space with shared experiences is really important. Anything like we have a WhatsApp group. So like we have a WhatsApp group of like 100 and something people. But it's so nice to be able to drop a question in that WhatsApp group and not feel judged. You're like, hey, this is wrong with my bike. Who can help me? And like, and we have some badass mechanics in that group too. Or just like, oh yeah, I had that same question. Or as simple as like, who's tried these bibs, or who is, who's testing this right now, and having that space where you don't feel judged. You can come as you are. But we know we all have this one center focus, which is, getting stronger on the bike, riding on the bike, and having that solid community of like-minded and like experienced people is it's priceless. It's incredibly impactful, and it's very cool to see how it's grown just since I've joined it. We have an Utrecht chapter now, so and our group is wildly diverse as far as the type of riding we're doing. So we have people who are doing tries, we have people who are only road, we have crit racers, we have gravel racers, we have a lot of ultra women, which is like something I still can't fathom that people do, but we have them. Like hardcore. And it's really nice that we all just also inspire each other and have also a very cheerleader-esque essence as well. So people are always, especially in this high season, in the WhatsApp groups, are always like, oh yeah, are we watching Jen because now she's I don't know, circumventing the globe or whatever, or like, oh yeah, this person was at this race, I went and cheered her on. Like that also feels really cool. It's really fun.
Yeah, I just had my first all-women non-binary event. Yes, she rides.
It was huge.
Oh my gosh, it was such a high. I mean, I didn't know I was gonna feel so elated.
Yeah.
It was such a joy to see, the group of women, diverse group of women together, and seeing a few of them nervous and just gaining confidence. And it was just like so worth the work that we put in. I can't wait for the next one. So I totally relate to everything you're saying.
Yeah, I saw your videos. It looked awesome. Like I'm so excited for you. And really, that's the thing. Like it's just electric. Like that energy of going out and conquering something, or doing something for the first time, or doing something for the 100th time is also just, it's comfortable. And that's where growth also can happen. Yeah.
So you talked a little bit about gravel. I know you are a big gravel rider.
Yeah.
And anyone who rides gravel knows it's a perfect metaphor for life. Unpredictable terrain, loose surfaces, constant micro adjustments, that chaotic mix of I'm scared and this is amazing. You seem to really thrive in that space. What has gravel riding taught you about yourself and that no other environment ever did?
Yeah, gravel for me is I mean, it's funny because now I'm scared on road. Like I hate being on road now because I'm like, oh, my tires are too small. Oh, there's just like, it just seems too slippy. My
I'm
friends
glad
make
I'm not
fun
the
of me.
only one.
Yeah, I'm just obsessed with gravel. Like it just feels so much more, I don't know, like I want to bite into it. It just feels more comfortable, and I think it is, like you said, like it's that constant changing. And I have ADHD, and so I also notice that on road my head starts to check out a lot faster, and which is very dangerous. Whereas like at least on gravel, like you can't check out,
Yeah.
which really helps me get into my flow state a lot faster. um and I've learned, wow, this past year I've been doing gravel now for 2 years. um this last year I decided, or the year we're currently in, it was my first racing year, and I've learned, wow, so much about myself. I've learned so much about racing um through that. And it's ups and downs. It's really like you can have the best training, and the race, because of the terrain, throws you out the window and really messes with your head. um i I think recently, like one of the funnier, I say funnier in quotes, things that's happened is that, like, at Project Fearless, I coach fail forward. I coach that, oh, we're on our own learning journey, and confidence can be grown, and blah blah blah, giving yourself, like, positive talk, which is, again, so much easier to say than done. And I had one particular race this August, and it destroyed me mentally. It was 6 hours. Oh, I think that's how long. 6 hours of just coaching myself constantly off of panic attack, of constantly coaching myself off the ledge of, Mérida, you are not a failure. You are not an embarrassment. Like, you can keep going. Who cares if you finish last? And it's been really a humbling experience, and a really, like, yeah, I don't know. Like, you can empty yourself both physically out on gravel, which I've had races where I've done that. I came off of Gravel Mexico looking like an absolute empty shell of myself, had the best time after a Coke. But like, or you can also empty yourself completely emotionally and mentally, and kind
Absolutely.
of have to, like, pull yourself inside out for that. And um, it's really cathartic in some weird, punishing way. And I think gravel has really taught me that, yeah, you just keep going. Like, it's just literally one foot in front of another. I never did endurance sports growing up. I was a snowboarder, a volleyball player, and horse rider. The longest endurance was like a 5K run that that I used to race. So this endurance sports in general it's a mental game. And I've been reading a lot about that recently too, thanks to my coach. And uh, finding yourself where you are in that mental game is also really interesting. And yeah, I don't know, enlightening in some weird some weird way, where you really dig into yourself to see, like, where can you keep going.
Yeah, I think it really shows when we are racing, being gravel or road or ultra cycling, um, your strengths and what you need to work on, and you need to be so honest with yourself. If that's emotional, or if it's mental, or if it's the strength. And the strength, I want to say, it can be easy. Of course, it's not easy, to be disciplined. It's not just motivation and consistency, but the emotion and the mental are two big ones. You're
Really. And
absolutely right.
yeah, and how much it affects, like, I think that was one thing I definitely learned this year, was how much my mental capacity also affects my physical capacity. And I have a busy brain already. Like, I have general anxiety disorder. I have ADHD. So, like, I got a busy brain. And so, and this year has been also busy braining year, with work and transitions, and then training on top of that, is that, like, um, really training with my mental load has also been a really new unlocking, especially with my coach and I. Like, Tuesdays are office days, and I'm a social butterfly, so I enjoyed office days. But I come home from office days and I am mentally just cracked, tapped out, because I've given everything there. And I realized, like, I was coming home and then trying to get on the bike on those days, and I was just suffering. Like, why is this so hard? What is happening? Then you, of course, spend. And eventually, like, my coach and I have just decided that on Tuesdays, it's a heavy brain day. There's no work, there's no physical happening. And that's been really interesting to start working with that cycle of the mental capacity and emotional capacity, and the physical capacity of training has been really interesting.
What's next for you for next year? Are you continue to race?
Yeah. So I'm joining the Castelli SOG crew, which I'm super excited about. Thank you. I'm really excited. Yeah, their whole ethos is the spirits of gravel, and celebrating the different voices and the unique people within gravel, whether you're a podium pro or, somebody who's chasing ultras, also podium pros, but or somebody like me, who I call myself like an enthusiastic amateur. So I will be racing next year. I think I have I forget how many races in total, but I'm racing like starting in February with Santoval, and then I'll have a race or two at least every month, all over, which I'm really excited for. I've added some new races, so I'll be doing the Rift this year. We'll be racing the Traka. What else? There's lots of cool, exciting things, and also I'm working on some events behind the scenes which I'm sure I'll share with you once they're ready, just to get more women feeling comfortable and welcomed at these different races too. Because that's one thing I saw. It's why I started gravel racing, as I saw how few women there were, and I was like, well, I'm gonna go do that. Like I want to go do that. I want to be part of this movement. But then I realized once you're there, how lonely it is to be. Only 18 of you in your age group and 300 men in your age group, and how lonely that is. So I'm going to be working with Castelli on a couple ideas, which I'm very excited for, but also some different race organizers, and also some graveling clinics. So that was something that I really loved this year, like this summer, coaching with Now, taking what I've learned at Project Fearless of how to create safe spaces for getting out of your comfort zone. And it works for adults. So it's funny, my fiance Piotr, he's a professional gravel cyclist, and we're at Now actually, funny enough, being hired as like a gravel cycling pair to come and coach for that, so that way we can cover multi levels in a week at like a gravel clinic or things like this. And I'm really excited for that, because I think that's you need all levels of coaches. And I know that I'm really good at making people feel like they can do anything, and getting them to that. So I'm really excited to bring back the coaching side of me, which I miss. When you become CEO and eventually outgrow, you can't be everything. So I'm excited to bring back the coaching side of me.
Awesome. I can't wait to see what you come up with Castelli. I used to do a lot of gravel races, but it became very, very fast. And I was doing more. I mean, I used to do gravel and ultras, and then just ultras. And now I'm like, I feel like just more adventures. We'll see. It comes and goes, that racing bug.
Definitely.
But I'm all for, getting more women in bicycles anyway. So I think it's a really cool project, and can't wait to see what you come up with.
Thanks. Yeah, me too. I'm really excited for it as well. It feels weird. Like, it's December now that we're recording this. I don't know when this come out. Yes, come on.
Aww, she has something to say.
Oh, she has so much to say all the time. Come on, Zira. Yeah. So right now I'm in that weird transition zone where I'm actually transitioning. Oh, here she is. Transitioning in my work at Project Fearless, where I will be going down to 2 days a week at Project Fearless, and the rest will be focusing on my cycling and creating space in that world. It's an exciting time. I'm really excited for the new year and to get the calendar together, and definitely will share with you when I have it.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah.
You mentioned you are CEO, and it's rare to meet a CEO whose leadership philosophy is rooted in joy and play and experimentation, but that's clearly your superpower.
Yeah.
You are running a growing organization while still showing up with humor and curiosity. How did you shape your leadership style, and what would you say to leaders who think joy and seriousness can't coexist.
Yeah, this also goes back to like, I think maybe the question over like what surprised you the most about starting Project Fearless is that like I never really thought about the fact that eventually I would have to be a leader or manage like a leader in the, like the manager sense. Like that wasn't a concept that I had when it was like, oh, what are you going to do? I was like, yeah, I'm going to go coach kids and we're going to create the space and blah, blah. But I never really thought about the fact that I knew I needed people on my team, but I never really thought about the fact that eventually I would be that like, yeah, in that leadership position for a team. And I actually remember like 2 years ago, so I've been doing Project Fearless for, yeah, at that point, 4 years. And I would always say, I'm Merida. I'm the director and chief snack operator at Project Fearless. And eventually one of my colleagues was like, Merida, you have to start saying that you're the CEO. Like you need to start. And I was like, no, that word feels so gross and nah. Because I had this very like specific version of what a CEO looked like. And she was like, yeah, but this is your chance to rewrite what a CEO looks like. You know, you get to show that CEOs can be fun and silly and human and still show up to the skate park and still give out snacks and stuff. So that really was empowering to have to say like, yeah, I'm going to rewrite what a CEO looks like in my own eyes, you know, and then therefore hopefully in what other people's eyes as well.
Yeah,
So
I like that. Please do.
yeah, that's what I've hopefully been doing. And yeah, I think it also just goes back to like my role model, Michael Zuckerman was like, I have to lead with joy and I have to lead with authenticity. And I think, and to be fair, it's not always joy, right? So there is some days that it's not joy, that it's exhaustion, or that it's my mental health has taken a sideways step, and being able to lead authentically and share with my team like, hey team, like, I am not feeling so good today. I'm going to need to take a step back, or I'm going to need to take a mental health day, or if I start crying, it has nothing to do with you. It's just what my face is doing today. And I think that authenticity has then created others to feel like they can be themselves as well. And it just takes the pressure off of us and each other and creates more empathy. And also joy is, I find joy in adventure. And I think that's also part of it, is looking at every step of the way and every step of the growing as an adventure. And some of the times the adventures will be really exhausting and scary. And sometimes the adventures will be just one foot in front of the other. And sometimes the adventure will be like, ooh, I don't know how this is going to go. Like, let's go. And leading that way just feels natural. It feels not linear. And it seems to attract a team that also doesn't want to be linear, who also wants freedom to be themselves and show up authentically, whatever that shows up on that day. So I would say, I think, for any leader who is not sure how to, lead with joy, I think I wouldn't actually know. Like it feels really foreign and like, oh, terrifying for them. Like I just feel bad for them, because what else are you doing? It feels like an exhausting way to live if that's not how if you're not finding joy in what you're working on. It's after a certain time, it's time to evaluate and create space for joy, whether that's at the current place you are or deciding that actually it's time to step aside and create new space for more people to come up and lead.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I think authenticity, as you mentioned, is a huge one for you to be a leader. And I love how you are so open and allow your team to see the process that you're going through, not just on the project, but like on your day, on your mind. And it just makes you human. And I think it's much easier for me anyways to look up to someone that is open to show who they are than someone that is just serious and in that role that you said you didn't want to step in of CEO, that we think it should be. And it doesn't have to be that way. It shouldn't be that way.
No, exactly. Yeah. It goes back to like, the introverts or extroverts. Like a CEO is the person at the end of the day who is making the decisions for the rest of the crew. And it should be the person who's making the decision on behalf of the crew, what's going to make, the healthiest opportunities for us to expand or make bigger impact. And creating space for those different type of leaders within your team is also an important part of being a CEO, is finding, what do these people do best? What do they excel at? How do they respond to positive reinforcement? Or do they need a little bit more like, I don't know, heavy deadlines or something like that? That's also part of it. So when I was able to reframe what a CEO looked like and felt like, it also was very helpful for me and made it much more joyful to be a CEO.
Something I see in your work, from Project Fearless to your talks to your writing, is your ability to ask the right questions, the ones that open doors. What's one question you think more people should be asking themselves right now?
I think the one that I've been drawn back to because, I spoke about it in my TEDx, but also some that people have then recently said like, oh, this is really helpful. And I actually had to do it to myself the other day. Is the question of like, so what? And that's it. Is that like, I gave this TEDx and I spoke about, the power of so what. And what that means is this idea that like, when your brain starts spiraling, or you start thinking of all the worst case scenarios, or what if I, make a fool of myself, or what if I don't win this race, or what if this happens? And we can always go down a doom spiral, but that the power of so what usually helps stop it in its tracks, So it's this idea of like, so what if you post something on Instagram and only 5 people see it? Well, 5 people saw it. That's great, And at the end of the day, it doesn't really affect you. Like, only, it's not the end of the world. You can try again. And so what if you fall? Yeah, that's a big one. But also, like, most likely you're going to get back up, So just keep going, and using that as a way to stop some spirals in their tracks is really helpful. And like I said, I've had to do that recently to myself. And I've also had somebody recently share that was really important to them. And it was like, oh yeah, I should probably practice what I preach. So I'm always grateful when it comes back up, or people like jokingly throw it back in my face when I'm like, oh, but what if? And they're like, yeah, Meredith, so what? And you're like, okay, like, and they're right. So I think that's one question we can always ask ourselves is like, if we start
that's a good one. I feel it breaks down your fears or your hesitations, and hopefully can get you to move forward and not be stuck on fears and hesitation.
Yeah, especially I think in social situations is always a big one, is like, so, well, what if I speak and people think it's stupid? Or what if I try out for something and I don't get it? Or what if I, go to this race and I'm the only woman there, or I'm the last one who crosses the finish line, or whatever? It's like, so what? What does that actually do? It doesn't really change the core of who you are as a human. It doesn't change your purpose. It doesn't change your mission. It just gives you maybe a little more fire to try again next time, or change it up. If it didn't work, now you get to learn from it, but at least you made a step.
Yeah. You have already lived several lives: innovation, designer, founder, educator, adventurer, cyclist, speaker, and each chapter seems to expand rather than replace the last. Who is the version of you that you are currently growing into? Do you know?
Do I know is the question. I actually I think the way you put this is so beautiful. I love the idea that it's evolving and expanding. I think that's such a great way to put it. And I appreciate that. I actually had somebody, say like 4 years ago, who saw all these different versions of me and actually, used it against me, and was like, do you even know who you are? You've changed, you've done this, you've done that, and now you're doing this. And, how can you know who you are if you're all these different versions? And I was like, oh, yeah, maybe I am wrong for being all these versions, but actually it's something I really loved about myself. And I love that I lean into stuff pretty hard. Like when I find something, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going for it. And so I thank you for saying it in that such a beautiful, expansive way. And I look at it like that as well. And who am I now? I'm in this transition zone. So actually today I just announced that in the new year, I'll be transitioning from CEO to CVO at Project Fearless, which is Chief Vision Officer. which I'm very excited for. I'm going to be co-parenting or co-leading Project Fearless in the new year.
Nice.
And I'm so excited for that because that creates space for me to, discover my next chapter. And I look at it as like, I'm 37. I'm looking at this as like a great year to use all the learnings that I've learned across, innovation design, across Project Fearless, across working with people, across building communities, and seeing, what can I do with all this? Where can I create that next space? And still very much working with Project Fearless, and but also making room for new types of leaders in that space as well. So I would say I'm in a transition zone, but I feel very well equipped, let's say. So I'm not worried. I feel very equipped with all the learnings that I've had for whatever comes next. I just don't know exactly what's coming next.
And it's okay. You're evolving and you have so many projects and you continue to expand. And I think that's what's good. We continue to see progress within ourselves. So, and you are, after all, a professional hype girl.
Yes.
So if you could hype up every listener of this podcast with one message, one burst of energy they can carry into their lives, what would it be?
Gosh, putting me on the spot. Whoa, this is such a hard one because everybody's so individual.
That's true. That's also, an answer.
I think that's
okay.
Part of it. It's actually, I cannot even see that there's
be yourself.
Yeah, with the backwards Y. So this was written by one of the kids in Project Fearless, and on a piece of cardboard, and I've just held on to it. And I think that's it. I think it's just be yourself. It's the most fearless thing you can be in this world. And when you are yourself, you create space for others to be yourself. And that's really cool. So be yourself, celebrate others. And I think that's it. It's not rocket science. It's just be yourself and celebrate others for being themselves.
Beautifully said. Well, Mérida, thank you so much for bringing your fire and your honesty to the podcast. And to everyone listening, keep practicing courage in small, consistent ways. Really so happy we got to connect.
Yes.
Thanks for reminding us that bravery doesn't have to roar. And I hope to stay in touch, and hopefully you can come back here next year and tell us where you are with your CVO.
Yes.
And other projects.
Yes, I will. Yeah, exactly. The hype crew will be coming. So watch this space. I'm very excited. And thanks for inviting me on, and all the great questions and all the great lead ups. And I also look forward to seeing where your She Rides go and how that community is building. It's very cool.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And that's all for today's episode. I want to thank the listeners for tuning in. Your support means everything. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider following, leaving a review, and sharing it with your friends.